Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Wasteland of Fallout 4. Today we're going to have a look at what you get out of the first DLC for the game, Automatron. Now in Automatron you confront the Mechanist and his robotic minions. In the process you'll get a new robotic companion and the ability to build your own robotic companions, a couple of new items as well. So you install the DLC in the usual way. You can check in the main menu under add-ons to see that it is installed. And as soon as you start up a saved game, assuming you've left the vault at the prologue, the first quest will pop up. So what do you get once you've finished the DLC? The DLC itself is not massively long. It took me about 4 or 5 hours to finish, and the number of quests I think was 4. Yes, 4 quests. And really the main thing you're going to get to play with is the robot workbench, which is this thing here. You also get a new companion, and she's over here, Ada,
A pleasure to see you again, sir.
and a few other goodies. So let's have a look at the robot workbench. Now with the robot workbench you can build your own robots, modify any robot companions you have, and that's pretty much it. So in this case, if we wanted to, let's say, make Codsworth a bit different, we can pop him into the machine and start tinkering. So we could give him legs if we liked. So at the moment he's got a Mr. Handy Thruster. We can give him Protectron legs, Zoltron legs, Robo Brain treads, or even Sentry legs. And as you can see, these changes all make changes to their stats on the left. So these are the only companions you can see the stats for. You can see damage resistance, the damage they do, their carry weight, and their health. And as we do various changes, those statistics change as well. And depending on the model of robot you've got, you can modify pretty much every component of them, as well as their colour. So at the moment I've got him blue, but you can make him whatever colour you want. And you can use that to tinker with your robots or to make new ones. Now the only thing that limits your ability to do this is that you do need quite an array of perks to make full use of the robot workbench. So you really need a combination of science, robotics expert, gun nut, armourer, and blacksmith to be able to make everything. Actually, I'm not sure about armourer, might not need that, but certainly the others you do. One thing you can do with the workbench or robot workbench is you can actually make robot settlers, and I've made one so far for this settlement. So this is just a very basic robot who now mans the armourer store for me. So if we go into settlements, come on, let me go in. There we go, gotta get away from him. You can see he's assigned to that, and some other companions are assigned to it as well. So she's assigned there, and Ada is assigned there. So you can actually effectively make some robot settlers for settlements if you're a bit light on, depending on where you're at. The other thing you do get as well is you can get what's called an Eyebot station. I've got one over here. And you'll find the schematics for these in the Mechanists hideout. And the Eyebot Pod allows you to send out the Eyebot to look for particular resources. So in this case, I've sent the Eyebot out to look for ceramics. And if I go into my data, my quest log, to miscellaneous, I can see that it's directed me to some ceramics at MedTech Research. So that's another way to get resources that you're short on. And there's no reason you can't build multiple of those, I'm assuming, as long as you've got the power to do so. The other things you get are robot repair kits. They act like stim packs for your robot companions, and you can make them at the chemistry workstation under healing, actually. Yeah, there we go. And they use a few fusion cells and some other stuff, so they're not particularly difficult to build. You get a new weapon that I found called the Tesla rifle.
Everything seems to be proceeding.
This is not a bad weapon. It does 198 damage for me at the moment, which is pretty solid. It does have a fairly small magazine at 8 though, and it's not particularly accurate. It has fairly low action point cost in VATS, so you can pump out a few shots. And it does have an area of effect, isn't that little arc to nearby enemies. So that can be quite useful. You also get some new armor, which I'm wearing. Should have to holster that. There we go. So that's the Mechanists armor and helmet.
How much we still have to discover out here.
And that armor is pretty good because you can add ballistic weave to it, making it very high damage resistance. So in this case, I've got up to 162 in both ballistic and energy, and I still haven't got it topped out. And you reduce damage from robots by 15%, which is also handy. And then you've got the helmet on top of that. So between the two pieces of armor, you can increase your endurance, charisma, and intelligence by 1 point each. You also get another set of armor called the robot armor. Let's have a look at that. I haven't got any clothes on, that doesn't really matter. Not a bad looking suit, we might put some clothes on. Yeah, it's a bit better. So that's not a bad suit of armor. I wouldn't necessarily use it at this stage, but also completely upgradable and moddable, as is any armor. And the last thing I've found is you find 3 pieces of unique T60, in my case, power armor. And these pieces of power armor increase energy damage. So we can see that in action. If we look at my Tesla rifle, currently I do 198 damage, and Righteous Authority 129, which are both energy weapons. If I jump into that armor, okay, there we go. Righteous Authority now does 149 instead of 129, and the Tesla rifle does 227 instead of 198. So if you do use energy weapons and power armor, that can give you a little bit of a boost. And that's really what you get out of the Machinist. Also, once you've completed the game, the DLC, you do get access to a new repeatable request from, well, I won't give it away, but it depends on how you finish the missions. You can have access to another repeatable quest, and you will have some new enemy types across the wasteland for you to fight, and they will attack your settlements, and you will come across them as you wander around. I quite enjoyed the DLC. It was, nothing particularly special that we hadn't seen before. In many ways, more of the same in terms of the the actual missions and quests, but that's fine. That's really what you want in a Fallout game most of the time, and the ability to make robots and muck around with those is actually quite fun. So I hope that helps if you're having a think about the Automatron DLC and wondering what you do get out of it at the end. In terms of sort of where you need to be as a character level, they recommend level 15 or above. I would say that's about right. If you are lower level, some of the fights are going to be extremely tough. I went through it about level 30-ish, level 32. I didn't have any trouble, but I am well armed. And even then, I did die a couple of times. So probably something not to do. As soon as you start the game, you do want to be reasonably well advanced in terms of character progression and gear. All right, well, thank you for watching, and I will see you later.
In order to survive.
Point? I'll shoot.